Hey guys, MKS again here. I'm conscious. Oh, here we go again. Sorry. I hope to God one day this running nose will stop running. But anyway, I'm conscious that I might be uploading quite a lot of videos quite quickly when I get bored or something like that. So I hope I don't put anyone off because they might get too many notifications or whatever. So I hope I'm not putting anyone for boring anyone. As I say, I always try and make it as fun as possible. So I'm out of breath because I've just been walking up and downstairs. But yeah, so I shouldn't really have to see this late, I know, but a bad diet and stuff like that. So at least I did a bit of writing today. Well, hopefully from today onwards I'll do at least a little bit of writing. So because I'd like to, as I say, at least an hour writing a day. But anyway, I was thinking of making like this video about supporting, as I say, my strange punctuation, supporting all the very possible technology, especially software developers and people like that across Africa. So I really wanted, I was a bit impatient because I could have perhaps waited till next week to make this video, but I really wanted to just get this one done and hopefully share it with my friends from Africa about supporting especially software developers and technologists. And as I talked about before, like people from Africa working together, especially on tech, and possibly companies that go to like Russia, China, and India, and places like that are investing in Africa. The African nations could work together and say, in return for trade deals, please invest in our tech, our young people in technology, and encourage as much more as possible. Sorry, so this running nose is driving me nuts. But yeah, so as I say, I am conscious. So please forgive me if I do upload quite a lot of videos because I'm hoping the notifications aren't driving people crazy or whatever, or boring people. But yeah, I did want to cover this topic about a charitable or philanthropic, whatever you call it, idea about supporting Africa in terms of tech. It's nearly 1 o'clock here, so I'm doing really bad to have tea at this time. So I didn't manage to have a shave or cut my nails, which I wanted to do for a new month and stuff like that, clean my ears because I don't know where the cobwebs are. But I'm still hoping to change my bed sheets and all that sort of stuff. So it's a new month, kind of. Perhaps I should have done that in hindsight yesterday, but I'm not sure. But anyway, yeah, so hopefully people out there, as I often say, will enjoy my videos. But yeah, I'm thinking like ideas to try and help Africa become the leader in tech, and I'd love to network with other people, as I've talked about before. And I think if we make YouTube videos like this and things like that, also do other projects that help African tech, like Andela, which develops software. I'd love to help, as I say, one of my dreams in life is to help Africa to become a tech leader within the next, or by the next 5 to 10 years. So I'll say like India, China, Brazil, Russia, probably even Brazil, America, the UK, and other such countries are trying to get into to network with Africa, especially because of the resources. But I think African countries should be a bit smarter, and maybe if they're not already doing so, and say we want something in return, which is our. And I think they should also be a bit more united, which I think is a smart thing. And say, you know, we want you to invest in, if you're going to get access to our resources, we want you to at least invest in a key skill, which is technology, so everyone in Africa can be tech literate. And I think, because I'm quite tired, I was actually supposed to be like supporting all the very possible, I was going to say actually, tech game makers in Africa to have networks. Like I talked before about the MKS, which is my initials, MKS Sony game station. So I'm really excited about that idea, and hopefully I can develop it, which would help which would encourage companies like Sony, and possibly if Sony does it, then maybe their competitors like Xbox will do something similar, which trains Africans to make their own games, as I say. But I've said before, the reason why I repeat some of these ideas is I think the more, I don't want to be boring, but the more we repeat them, the more hopefully we can people remember them, and the more passionate you are about an idea, I think the more you should try and convey that passion, more so repeat it. I mean, like if you had a son or a daughter and you only talked about them once or twice, people might think you're not a very devoted parent. But if you talk about them all the time, so like the projects I want to work on, the charity projects nowadays, because I'm passionate about them, but that's why I talk about them a lot. But I try and make them. I think that would be quite an interesting and exciting idea to help African game makers to make their own versions of Donkey Kong or Street Fighter, which I used to play, Street Fighter, Donkey Kong, Mortal Kombat, and games like that, to have African versions of those games. And perhaps, again, like countries like even Japan is trying to get into Africa, so maybe because they're famous for making games, like Nintendo and Sega back in the past, and even Sony's Japanese. So especially Japanese companies and maybe South Korean companies investing in places like South Africa and the rest of Africa, and Xbox as well. And companies like that, maybe, again, the African governments could say, in return for resources, you have to invest in supporting our youth to make games, especially the youth, maybe even older people as well. And also maybe offer, again, tax cuts or something like that, because I think, again, tax arguably should be used. If we're going to have tax, I think it definitely should be there to help poorer people, and I think helping people from Africa to develop, I think, is a noble cause in my opinion. But yes, sorry about that. So yeah, I'm hoping to share this with my friends from Africa, and people from Africa share this video and perhaps talk about networking together and supporting each other to, especially in like software development and game making games for the mass market, not just internally, but also like Nintendo and Sega did in the past. They made games, and people all around the world played those games. So as I say, I used to have Super Nintendo myself, so I used to play all the I used to play Donkey Kong and Street Fighter and games like that. So I think it'd be great to see African people of all ages making those sorts of games. As ever, I'd love to hear your opinion on this idea. And like, do you think it's a noble idea, or do you think it's workable? And maybe also sharing about your own ideas about how helping Africans to make their own software, their own games, and things like that. Yeah, for some reason I chose I set up a goal for myself, which was to strive to support African countries in technology. I think I initially started with South Africa, was my goal, and then I thought it'd be great to unite the whole continent. So I'd love to see a Pan-African tech network, and one of the fun sides of that would be Africans making their own games and hopefully being empowered that way. I would say companies like Sony, possibly, I don't know if they're still around, but maybe companies like Sega or Nintendo, or they could look at how they made games in the past, and again, maybe the Japanese government and the or trade ministers and people like that, or trade minister, and the African nations could have some sort of agreement where those companies go in and teach people how to make games. Like, they could be the Game Station Network, which would be hubs across Africa which help game makers, especially, like, as I say, people from Japan. Excuse me. So as part of the deal, because apparently Japan is one of the countries that are competing to go into Africa and do trade, just like China and India. But I'd love to see more networking between African nations working and supporting each other, because I think they have a lot in common with. As an anti-imperialist, I think they have a lot in common, as both continents were generally colonized. Excuse me. So yes, as I say, I'd love to see people of color working together. Say, and I think, as I say, African nations can offer access to resources more to Asian nations, but than maybe European or other nations. But also at the same time, there's Asian nations or nations around the world who want access to resources or to do trade deals with Africa. And I think Africa could be in a great position to make these countries compete to offer the most support for African software developers, general technologists, and especially game makers and people like that. Because especially because so many so many countries are trying to get into Africa, and companies as well, and all that sort of stuff. I think Africa could be in a good position. As I say, I hope that wasn't waffling too much. Please let me know what you thought of it. If you made it this far, I really appreciate it and appreciate your support. Thanks. Oh, P.S. Please give this a like and share it, especially with people who support charity or ethical projects or things like that.